listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy. Kuuntelet aivojasi lähetyksessä. Ohjelma alkaa pian. Nauti.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to your Brain on Air, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. And stick to the straight and narrow before the broad and the bold is the death of the decent. Speaking of the broad and the bold, folks, George Michael, his voice is ringing strong. As you may have already heard, he's already dethroned Mariah Carey this year as the most played Christmas song on the Billboard charts. It's incredible, right? Last Christmas. I didn't think that song would be one that jumps up. I thought that song would eventually die out after like my parents' generation was gone. After the crowd from the 80s had died out, I assumed that no one would be listening to Wham anymore. But guess what? It seems to be making a comeback with my generation. It seems to be, I don't know, just topping the charts. People are requesting it. It's back. Last Christmas. I don't know why. He died in like 2016, didn't he? He died on Christmas Day, fascinatingly enough, George Michael. Sorry to bring in the Christmas it's Christmas week. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Christmas week. Christmas is happening right? It's happening this week. You know what I mean? It's the 22nd right now. Christmas Eve is in 2 days. If you got plans for it, get ready. You know what I mean? It's a crazy day that we got ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what the vibe is for you this Christmas. The vibe is reminiscent 80s this Christmas. I don't know why. There's ski lodges are in. I'm feeling big hair is in. I think like the Gen X style that they left in the 80s and 90s with shoulder pads, it's coming back. I miss big earrings on men and women. I miss the weird little, you look at this music video and it looks like, I imagine this is what Gen X people's dreams look like. I look at the rooms of white people and just, well, actually, no, there's a black guy in there. They got a little bit of diversity in this music video. But you look at these people, and they're all just like, they stare at each other. They all have brooches on. They, like, all have blowout hair. They all have bleached ends for some odd reason. They're all wearing cardigans, and they just stare at each other. The Gen X stare is completely opposite to the Gen Z stare. The Gen Z stare is, like, it's very emotionless and COVID fueled. The Gen X stare it's very wholesome. It looks out of a movie. And then they like chase each other through the snow. A man undercover, but you tore me apart. Big shirts. Real love, you'll never fool me again. Now brooches are like not a thing. Have you noticed that like ever since the 80s, brooches are just like they've fallen out. No one casually wears them anymore. Everybody's hair is so fucking big. I kind of like it. Has anybody else noticed that? Like, you look at people like Rhett from Rhett and Link. You look at people that are in the mainstream. Some people are really letting their hair grow out nowadays after COVID. Have you noticed that? People have taken on a little bit more of a disheveled look. I'm getting worried that the kind of mullets are back, blowouts are back. I'm worried that big hair from the 80s that we all joked about and that we all made fun of, our parents, you look at your high school picture, you look like Bonnie Tyler. I think that we're all going to eat our words here in a couple of years because before you know it, what's the shit that like women would put in their hair that would give them the beach curls? You know what I mean? There's a brand specifically. If you're of that generation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a spray or something like that. I don't know. There might have been a movie about it. I have no idea. It was so big. It's not hairspray. I'm retarded. Folks, this isn't even our first story. I just wanted to jump into how fun this Christmas feels. The vibes are in this Christmas. I feel cozy. I feel warm. I have a hearth in you know what I mean? I'm tending fires and shit. Do you realize how good it feels to tend a fire when it's snowing outside? Jesus Christ. I don't even know how to describe it to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am puffing on the Khalifa Kush. We're puffing on a Cactus Jack variant. What the fuck? Holy shit, there's a snowplow right outside. Okay, I did not hear that, but it almost, oh god, it sounded like it almost took out my window. I'm sorry about that, folks. Jeez, you know what? It's a fun Christmas week. Guys, doesn't today's broadcast just feel more lively and awake and aware and alive? We got the Cactus Jack. It is a little tiny vape. It's a 2 gram. I believe that it is just, it's the usual C-style charger. It's liquid live diamonds. It's beautiful. I'm not too familiar. Does anybody here listen to Wiz Khalifa? I'm not a Wiz Khalifa guy. I remember he made a couple house music songs. Like, does anybody else remember house music back in the 2010s, or late 2009s? I don't know how to put it. Like, there was an era of really good trap house music. Like, really good, like, welcome to my house, baby. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of bumpin' house party music. We can't stop, and we won't stop. That's what I mean. I kind of miss that vibe. I remember Wiz Khalifa, his name was around a lot of those kind of party music anthems, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm just yapping, but apparently he's in the vape business now. So we're puffing on a Khalifa Kush bar. It's interesting. It tastes pretty good, I'm not even gonna lie. I'd highly recommend it. I don't know if there's like lead or the usual trappings of vapes in it, but it seems to burn pretty good, you know what I mean? So, as I'm giving you this review of the vape, we're going to transition, not like Caitlyn Jenner, but we're going to transition into our first story, because there's quite a few things to talk about. We're going to touch on pop culture. We're not going to stay in the politic-y 100% of the time angle. It's actually mostly just our first story, but then we're going to talk a bit about pop culture. We're going to get loose this season, because, folks, it's Christmas week, and not everything can be hell, especially on Christmas, goddammit. So let's talk about movies we're excited for. We'll get to Christopher Nolan later. But folks, Epstein photographs, that's our first story. They're causing shakeups as the DOJ removes some online, and it's sending out blacked out documents as the releases. Okay, so folks, we saw this coming. It's the Trump administration. We knew that they lie through their teeth. They know who's the representative of their brand. It was never going to get released. We never were going to see anything like completely not scrubbed or like, you know what I mean, unadulterated. We should brand these with a big like. These should have been released with a huge letter A, because they have been adulterated to the masses, folks. It's shameful. They are whores. They need to live outside of our communities. These people are what they used to write books about. You know what I mean? That one thick bitch from the Scarlet Letter and shit. Anyways, folks, on December 19th, the U.S. Department of Justice, the DOJ, began releasing thousands of files related to its investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. Have you heard of him? The convicted sex offender who died in 2019. Now, I don't know about this guy very much, folks, but I believe some people, and like some controversial folks, I don't know about like the mainstream story, but some folks have been saying that this guy maybe a pedophile. I don't know. It's really like I need to look into it more. The initial tirade that we got, the triage of information we've gotten. I'm just making up words. I don't care. Posted on the dedicated Epstein library section of the DOJ website, it included over 13,000 documents and hundreds of photographs seized from Epstein's properties in New York and the U.S. Virgin Isles. The release was mandated by the Epstein Files Transparency Act. I mean, what a name for an act that has been passed in our government. I love it. It's beautiful. The bipartisan law, it was signed into law by President Trump, requiring full disclosure. Remember that time when he was like, I think it's ridiculous that we're even talking about it anymore, but like, I'll sign it if you fuckers are just going to keep being annoying about it. I love that attitude that he's taken around it. Oh my God. Anyways, however, the DOJ, it's requiring full disclosure by that date, by the date December 19th, excuse me. However, the DOJ acknowledged that it was incomplete, citing a need for ongoing review and redactions to protect victims' identities, with many images blacked out and thousands of more files withheld pending further vetting. So, if you have not gotten a chance yourself to see these files, if you have not yourself gone onto their website and whatnot, I would not even bother. They really, like, you look on these pictures and it is apparently black screen, like, was in the Epstein files. That's one of my favorite celebrities. Black screen. I can't believe it. I can't believe he appeared there. The photographs, they're the thing that dominated a lot of the conversation, a lot of the public attention. A lot of them, they were featuring Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell socializing with prominent figures. These included previously unseen images of Epstein with former President Bill Clinton, such as in a hot tub or a pool. What people didn't know is I was under the water. Celebrities like Michael Jackson, Mick Jagger, and Kevin Spacey. He didn't do it! He didn't do it. He didn't do anything. And put him on House of Cards. That was the only time that show was good. I dropped off. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it when Claire was in charge. I can't do it. As well as other notables. Additional photos showed items from Epstein's homes, like a painting of Clinton in a dress, which everybody kind of knew about. This one was, it's not, there's a rumor going around that it was Hillary's dress from one of the Democratic National Conventions, but it was actually the blue dress that was used for evidence that had a stain on it that was from, I think you can presume exactly where it came from. It was jism, as the frontiersmen of the United States would have called it. You know what I mean? It was evidence boxes. They got more redacted images of women. Most of these women, you look at them and you're like, holy shit, that looks like Carly and Sam from iCarly. You can tell these girls are minors. They look like they're dressed like really skimpily. It's disgusting. It's really like, holy shit. When you look at the stuff that they're releasing, it's like, obviously they have to black out the kid faces. No doubt about that. But like when you're blacking out the faces of bodies that are evidently adult men in suits, I don't wholeheartedly agree with those men having their identities protected. I'm sorry, I just don't. Some depicted Epstein's lavish lifestyle and connections. The files revealed new evidence of wrongdoing by high-profile individuals, and they revealed little new evidence of wrongdoing by high-profile individuals. No client list has emerged, consistent with prior DOJ statements, such as no list existing. Shortly after the release, controversy arose when at least 15 to 16 of the files, primarily photographs, disappeared from the DOJ's website on Saturday, December 20th. Among them was the notable image of the credenza, an open drawer in Epstein's Manhattan home containing framed photos, including one of President Trump, one with Epstein, Melania, and Maxwell, and another one of Trump surrounded by women. Other removed images included a painting of a nude woman. The sudden unavailability without initial explanation sparked accusations of selective censorship, with the House Oversight Democrats highlighting the Trump photo on social media and questioning potential cover-ups. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't just, like, scrub it wholeheartedly before they release. You didn't even release all of them and you still fucked up? I don't get it. I mean, like, let's just take a look at this clip from ABC News.
The Department of Justice under pressure after only releasing a fraction of the hundreds of thousands of its Jeffrey Epstein files by last week's legal deadline, and heavily redacting hundreds of pages it did publish. Democrat Ro Khanna and Republican Thomas Massie, who championed the new law requiring these documents be released, now saying they're drafting a House resolution to hold Attorney General Pam Bondi in contempt.
Oh.
They're flouting the spirit and the letter of the law. It's very troubling, the posture that they've taken. And I won't be satisfied until the survivors are satisfied.
Overnight, multiple Epstein survivors say the DOJ has violated the law and are demanding
Hell yeah, they have.
congressional oversight, including hearings. Survivors like Danny Bensky pressing.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna lay out right now how we hold this accountable. Democrats already are being projected to have a slaying time in the midterms because the turnovers from people with Mamdani and whatnot, the attitude towards Republicans' immigration policies, ICE being overplayed in certain cities, a lot of people aren't liking it. They're not big fans at all. The way that we do this, the way that we do a pushback, folks, I think I'm going to look into the crystal ball, the Palantir. I have Peter Thiel across the table from me, looking me in the eyes with his creepy little his salmon eyes. His creepy little salmon left in a fucking fridge for too long eyes. And we're going to peer into this crystal ball, and I'm going to tell you all what's going to happen in the future. The Democrats are going to do pretty decent in the midterms. Vote to make sure that happens. Don't just take my word for it. And they are going to go ahead and them winning or losing the House or the Senate is determinant of whether or not they make Trump the first president in history to be impeached 3 times. I'm curious, listen, it looks really bad on him for history. It looks awful on him, in whatever it is. You guys clearly love going after him with legal prosecutions. I'm saying that is the path forward if you want to get if you want to get under his skin for another meaningless, peckless thing. Like, it's like, go for it. I think that's probably where I'm thinking it's gonna go. Down in 2026, I think they're going for another layer of impeachment. I'm sorry, I really do. I think that they're gonna say that your connections with this individual and your lengthy delay of the layout of all of the files key to this law are, they're grounds for impeachment. I don't know. I'm looking into the future here. I'm not making any listen. I'm saying that I'm not mad at Marie Laveau of New Orleans. I cannot tell you the absolute 100% certainty, but I'm making just an educated guess.
The DOJ for more transparency.
We really didn't get to see as much as we wanted to. This was a law. The law was passed, and they broke the law.
There you go. Yeah, they broke the law. We're going to check out this clip from CBS News. The DOJ, real quick, they later clarified that the removals were precautionary, prompting concerns from the Southern District of New York and victim advocacy groups about the possibly depicting victims. Out of caution, the images were pulled for review. By Sunday, December 21st, the Trump-related photos were restored, unredacted, after officials determined no victims were shown. The department emphasized that ongoing reviews would continue, with more files being added. The incident fueled criticism from lawmakers like Representative Thomas Massey, who argued that the process flouted the transparency law's intent. All right, let's just play this clip.
Breaking news at this hour about the batch of Epstein files released by the Justice Department earlier today. There are thousands of documents that our CBS News team is combing through. In the release, photos of Bill Clinton, and some of them show him together with Epstein. Another shows Clinton in a hot tub with another person whose face is not shown.
Yep.
This is just a small selection of photos included in this vast trove of records, like printed documents, transcripts, photos, audio recordings, and video. We have team coverage on this with CBS legal reporter Katrina Kaufman and CBS News reporter Erica Brown. Let's begin with Erica. So, Erica, we've only had these documents for a few hours.
Send the white lady away.
So what are we seeing in the early stages?
Well, Juliet, in this early tranche, of documents released by the Justice.
This woman started out like a demon. Did you hear that?
Well, Juliet, in this early tranche, of documents released by the Justice Department, we see materials in the form of videos, as you noted there, recordings, transcripts, even court.
Mick Jagger is one of those people that I look at and I'm like, yeah, just like David Bowie, just like a lot of people in the rock game. Jesus Christ, I'm recording. Shush. Just like a lot of people in the rock game, people who are like, David Bowie was a sex symbol or whatever. I look at them and I'm like, they're goofy skinny Englishmen. I don't find them to be that attractive. I don't see how a lot of women were just throwing their G-strings at these men. I don't maybe it's because back in the 60s, this was considered really, 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 really transgressive, really interesting, you know what I mean? You either had Joe Schmoes that grew up on the farm, or you had built people in the military or whatever. There was never look at this heroin addict who can dance with a guitar. There was never this image of this skinny fucking I'm gonna dance all sexy for the women image, but I'm gonna have ratty hair and do a lot of drugs. There was that for some reason got a lot of the boomer and whatever women, they got really into that image, which I get it, you know what I mean? It's interesting.
Records, some of those records dating back more than a decade and were related to multiple investigations into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Also, one last thing, David Bowie could never sing. He can't sing. He never was able to until the day he died. All of his songs that sound good are sung by other people. They were written by him, sure. He was a music talent. I'm not going to deny that fact. He couldn't sing to save his life. I'm a silent It's just like him talking and whining a lot, and like when you listen to his older music, like back in the 70s, it's a lot of him going, it's really it's not even like Bob Dylan. It's not good. I'm sorry, it's just not interesting. I can't listen to it. It's annoying. Final note on English people. I'm sorry.
And related to multiple agencies, including the FBI and the Bureau of Prisons. This initial release also included disclosures from the Department of Justice and from the House Oversight Committee, but some of this material was already in the public domain, and that is sparking some backlash, particularly from Democratic lawmakers. Some of that material already out there included a surveillance video of the Manhattan jail where Epstein was found dead, and earlier testimony from Ghislaine Maxwell. Also, some of that material was very heavily redacted, which some lawmakers say was much heavier redacted than anticipated, which is also sparking some backlash. But as you noted, there are a few materials that were released that are new, including photos of former President Bill Clinton, photographed with Epstein, photographed in the pool, photographed in a hot tub with an unidentified person, as well as photos of ex-Prince Andrew photographed with women, and testimony from someone who suggested that supermodel Naomi Campbell had visited the Virgin Islands with an Epstein associate. Now, Campbell...
Supermodel Naomi Campbell, I mean, come on. All right, folks. I won't get into my beauty standards, but you know, the DOJ, they're looking into it. They're going to be, they've indicated to us that additional drops, they're coming, they're on the way. And you know, this is only partial, and there are going to be temporary takedowns. Why do you care? Why do you even care about this? Why are you still asking questions? You're the weird one for it, I guess. I mean, folks, I don't know what else to say about it, but are you tired of government agencies accidentally vanishing embarrassing photos faster than the witness of a conspiracy thriller? Introducing a revolutionary DOJ Wayback Machine, the first and only device guaranteed to capture, archive, and resurrect all deleted classified documents before the redaction squad even hits delete. Powered by cutting-edge transparency technology and a healthy dose of public suspicion, a sleek home unit scans official websites in real time, snagging every single incriminating image, from the credenza drawers full of president cameos to those mysterious pulled nude paintings. No more precautionary reviews or victim privacy excuses with the DOJ Wayback Machine. What goes up stays up forever in your personal vault. Perfect for journalists, conspiracy enthusiasts, or anyone who believes in temporary takedown is just a code for cover up. Order now and get a free bonus feature, the automatic restorer button, which instantly reposts vanished files to other social media places with snarky captions. Because in a world of selective transparency, someone has to keep an archive of honesty. DOJ Wayback Machine, because history shouldn't disappear at the click of a bureaucrat. The hell am I saying? Folks, I want to jump into our second story. I'm having fun. This vibe. This vibe we're keeping up is great. I like the energy. There's a forward motion. You know what I mean? Similar to the forward motion of Odysseus on his trail back to the kingdom of Ithaca. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not familiar with Homer's The Odyssey, it is the sequel to the Iliad. It is a story. The Iliad is the story largely of the Trojan War, and then the Odyssey is the story of Odysseus, a Greek hero's travels home. Essentially, I want to talk about this because I'm not normally the type to drop some, literature knowledge. This is not your brain on air literature talk, but I would happily start doing something like that. But the only reason I reason to bring this up, you know what I mean, is because Christopher Nolan, a director that I particularly, I think that he's talented. Some of his movies can be a snore. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of his movies are so overwrought. Some of them are so long. Some of them are so Tenet, I'm sorry, I was not a big fan of. I didn't mind Interstellar. There were moments where I was like, you could have cut this. You could have shortened this scene. You could have cut this out. He's very, he's an epic storyteller. Yes, absolutely all of that. The end and the beginning of the Dark Knight trilogy are kind of overrated. Regardless, Christopher Nolan himself is a remarkably talented storyteller. He's very good at doing his thing. You know what I mean? With the wide camera angles, you know, doing the big fucking imagery that makes you go wow. Christopher Nolan, ladies and gentlemen, has dropped a trailer for his newest film, The Odyssey, the adaptation that every book hater has been waiting for. I plan to spoil the entire thing for you right here because this tale has been out for over 2,700 years. It's simply too late to cry spoiler alert, I'm sorry. Homer's Odyssey, man. If you have not heard of this story, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the trailer here soon. But if you don't know the story itself, we're going to talk about it right now. This takes place directly after the Iliad. It's basically two big stories. They're a collection of poems that have existed for thousands of years at this point that were told orally. You know what I mean? These were just stories that everybody kind of told. And there was these people, rappers, that were instructed, and they were just professional storytellers. And they eventually arranged it into a confident. This is what the version of the story that we're going to generally say is the canonized version. People argue about whether or not Homer existed. He was rumored to be a blind man who cataloged all of these wondrous tales from around his region of the world, which was the Greek and, you know what I mean, the Troy area, all of this, like the Mediterranean region. All of that, you know what I mean? Argan Sea and all that shit. You look at the old world, the Greeks and shit like that. That's kind of what he covers. He talks about the old Greek gods. Athena is a major player in this story, and then Odysseus is just like, he's major if you talk about Greek circles and shit like that. We're not gonna go over the Iliad. It's too long, and quite frankly, it's not that long. But I just don't feel like talking about it because we would never get to the trailer if I'm trying to summarize the Odyssey. So, folks, in case you don't know, shit is getting real up in the kingdom of Ithaca. King Odysseus has been gone for almost 20 years. He's got a banging babe at home with his son Telemachus and Penelope. Telemachus is his son, and Penelope is his banging babe, and they ain't heard anything about where he's been since the end of the Trojan War about 10 years ago. Since everybody in the world thinks that he's dead, you know what I mean? There's about 108 shady hustlers that are starting to mac up on Penelope so that they can get a crack of some of that royal poo-tang and crown themselves king. Apparently, Odysseus has been stuck on some island somewhere where he's just been hanging out with some immortal goddess broad named Calypso. Eventually, the gods mount up on Mount Olympus. You know that place. They talk about it in Hercules. They tell Calypso she's got to take Odysseus off that short leash so he can get his ass home. Odysseus then sets sail for Ithaca, but the sea god Poseidon is pissy and drops a nasty storm on him. Odie shakes that shit off, though, because with the help of the gods, he makes it to the shores of Phaeacia. Excuse me, I'm trying to pronounce all of these Greek things correctly. He ends up on the shores of Phaeacia, and he starts to vibe with the king and the queen about his travels. He fills them in about, this one time that he punked a cyclops named Polyphemus. Odysseus told this guy that his name was Nobody. He got Nobody. This is going to make sense in a minute. With Odysseus, he's like, hey, my name's Nobody. He got this Cyclops insanely drunk. He then proceeds to stab him in the eye when he was passed out. When Polyphemus wakes up, he freaks out and tells the other Cyclopses in the cave that is blocked that all of Odysseus and his men are in, and well, he's out, his men are in there. No, nobody shanked me in the eye. He starts to yell to the other Cyclopses, and they all go like, what? What are you talking about? Eventually, they open the cave door to figure out what the fuck's going on. Odysseus, he saves his men. They make it back to the boats. Turns out that Cyclops that he wrecked was the son of Poseidon, and the god of the sea is not very happy about that. So, essentially, that's the reason that it's taken Odysseus almost 10 years to get back home after the Trojan War. Finally, after telling them more about his the ship-swallowing seas that he comes into contact with, the cows that are protected by gods, women who turn men into pigs, and more shit, the king and the queen grant him a ship with a crew, and he sleeps on it all the way back to Ithaca. And with Athena's help, he disguises himself as a nasty hobo when he lands on the shores. Later, Penelope decides that she's going to marry herself to whoever can string Odysseus's bow and shoot an arrow through the heads of 12 axes. Essentially, this draw strength on this bow is like 500 pounds. Practically nobody can do anything with it. Eventually, Odysseus, he shows up as the hobo. He's like, I'm going to give it a shot. He wins the competition like a boss. Absolutely no troubles. He reveals himself to everybody as Odysseus. He then proceeds to murder all those men who were trying to get with his woman with his son Telemachus. The people of Ithaca then freak out and they're like, what the hell? Why'd you kill everybody? So as he's like gonna get into conflict with the peoples, Athena steps in and tells everybody to chill out, baby. We don't have to have no drama. Thanks to the gods, everyone is at peace and Odysseus is at home with his wife and his kid and everything is happy. So that is a really, really, really condensed version of what this book is. It's a really, really, like, I'm trying to put it in the shortest confines in order so that we can just, like, get a brief, like, I don't expect you to be a literary genius on this. I certainly am not. I'm the furthest thing from it. You know, even though the Iliad came first, the Odyssey is often more referenced and discussed as being, it's symbolic and more of a representation for the human condition. It's kind of a commentary on whether humans cause their own ills or if greater gods are controlling our fates. Odysseus engages in many things that the Greeks consider to be sinful, or whatever they consider to be exactly, like, I'm not going to use that word sinful, but wrong. Having sex with the goddesses on the beach, on that island that he was stuck with, you know what I mean? Stabbing the Cyclops in the eye, lying to save his crew. Sometimes he is behind the wheel, sometimes he's in control of his own destiny, but sometimes he is riding bitch in the god's whip. Here's a quote from Zeus, the king of the gods. Mortals, they are always blaming the gods for their troubles, when their own witlessness causes more than they were destined for. Who's to blame for Odysseus being gone so long? Was it his for stabbing the Cyclops in the eye, or was Poseidon being a seriously backwards kind of a person? I don't know. That's kind of a thing that you decide on. Generally, you cannot discuss the lessons of Odysseus without getting the lowdown on the other story of Agamemnon, which is, if you don't know, he's a character from Peabody and Sherman. He's a warrior of the Trojan War. He also himself tries to get himself home, except when he got there, he found his woman hopped in bed with some other playa. You know what I mean? Who straight up ghosted his ass afterward, not Odysseus. His woman is not like that. He's got one of the flyest biddies on the planet who slings her own brand of trickery. There is a way that she manages to keep all of those people away. She tells the men that she cannot marry anyone else until she's done weaving some cloth or whatever. But every single night, she undoes what she knits during the day. This girl, she manages to keep all of these people in line for 10 whole years while Odysseus tries to get home. That's right. That itself is righteous endurance, and it makes her just as heroic as the person in the story, like the main character. If there's one thing that Penelope, Athena, all the other ladies in this story prove, it's that even Greek heroes, as cool as they are, ain't gonna get shit done without a woman. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. Folks, I mean, I want to, watch this trailer with you. It's going to be interesting. I'll describe it to you, but you know what? It's one of the most viewed trailers in a minute, you know what I mean? It was released 3 hours ago. You're going to find it. If you just look up the Odyssey official trailer, go watch it. That's what I suggest. It's from Universal Pictures. I'm also going to rip the art eventually while I do this, but I'm going to describe it to you. So Universal, we get the logo. Sin Copy. I don't know that studio, I'm gonna be honest. There is it is a dune, a desert of mounted men. They're like fallen soldiers, their armor, and then there's a guy bowing in front of a Trojan. It says after years of war. Then they're walking through. They're walking through the forest. No one could stand between my men. There's a big shot of a castle and home. Okay. And then there's a shot of Penelope and his son. And then he's on 3 boats. No one could stand between my home and me, not even me. Ooh. Someone got stabbed and they're trying to cover him so he doesn't scream. They're trying to cover his mouth. They're going into some cave. Oh, there's a huge Cyclops, it looks like. Okay. Then they're just standing in like this field. There's creatures coming out of the field. God. Men getting washed off of the ship. They're just rowing, man. They're rowing.
We'll come back.
Promise me you'll come back.
What if I can't?
The Odyssey. 7/17/26, folks. I mean, there you go. That's the teaser. There's the official teaser trailer, man. I mean, there you go. If you're looking forward to this as much as I am, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a spectacle. Tom Holland, for some reason, he's playing Telemachus. I mean, cool. I don't know who's playing Penelope. I forget. What's her name? I don't remember. Matt Damon, I think, is playing Odysseus. Interesting choice. I mean, folks, besides that, vote in the comments for our next mini episode of your Brain on Air Literature Talk. It's the Scarlet Letter or the Handmaid's Tale for our next time, I'm guessing. Go ahead and drop some solid book recommends in the comments. Because that's the Odyssey, folks. It's a fun tale of earthly beings making their own fucking troubles by angering gods. Don't incur the wrath of the gods is a great lesson. That's essentially the only thing you can take from it. Folks, I want to jump into the rapid fire section of today's headlines. We got a lot to cover. There's the Israel approving 19 new settlements in the occupied West Bank. Israel's cabinet has approved the creation of 19 new Jewish settlements in occupied West Bank, boosting settlement numbers by nearly 50% under the current government. Critics say this damages the prospects for a two-state solution and intensifies the Israeli-Palestinian tensions. I mean, I would agree. The U.S. has intensified its pursuit of the Venezuelan oil tankers. The U.S. Coast Guard is also actively pursuing a third oil tanker near Venezuela as part of President Trump's blockade on sanctioned tankers. This follows the recent seizure of vessels accused of sanction evasions amid heightened military activity in the Caribbean. Oh, man. Yeah, it's pretty great. And then not to mention that, you got this to worry about. You got a severe flu season in the U.S. Millions are infected. Flu infections continue to climb across the United States, with health officials estimating millions of illnesses and tens of thousands of hospitalizations. Vaccine mismatch with the current strain may be a factor, although shots still reduce severe outcomes. I mean, there you go. That's if you feel like getting a flu shot, I personally won't be because I'm youthful and full of energy. And if I get taken out by the flu, I'd rather be remembered for that than anything else I did in my fucking sad-ass life. Ursid meteor shower peaks tonight. I mean, the final major meteor shower of 2025, the Ursids, is expected to peak late tonight and into tomorrow morning, offering a viewing opportunity, especially in the northern hemisphere. If you're into those meteor shower type stuff, do it. That's great. Hong Kong fire death toll, man. It's heightened, apparently, again. Authorities and the international media continue to report on the tragic aftermath of the Wang Fuk Court apartment fire in Hong Kong. The incident remains one of the deadliest blazes in recent years. Oh, sad thing. Don't live in a high-rise. That's my recommend. India's president gives assent to major rural employment bill. Cool. In India, the president has approved the Viksit Bharat guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivik mission, or a VBG Ramji bill. 2025, expanding legal rural wage employment agreements and replacing the earlier framework. Cool. South African pub mass shooting kills 9. Not cool. Mass shooting in a tavern in Beckersdal near Johannesburg killed at least 9 people and injured others, prompting renewed discussions about gun violence and public safety in South Africa. Cool. Talk about public safety. That's real important. ISRO schedules major satellite launch. The Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, plans to launch the LV-M3-M6 mission with a heavy direct-to-mobile satellite, part of an expanding global connectivity efforts. I mean, good for them. Singapore to mandate caning for scammers. I mean, yes, they're doing this this is like, I talked about this maybe a month ago, but it's official. It's like signed into law now, and they're doing it regularly. Singapore's government, they've announced the new tough on crime measure, scammers facing mandatory caning of up to 24 strokes starting at the end of December, reflecting strict penalties amid reducing fraud, aimed at reducing fraud. I mean, I think it was a great idea. You can go back to that episode. I said it was a great idea. I think that we should do it. I think that it is a great idea. If there's anyone in this world I don't have sympathy for, it's scammers. And then our final thing before we get into our third story, the expanded U.S.-Russia negotiations on Ukraine peace talks. Diplomats from the United States and Russia are meeting in Florida for renewed talks concerning the ongoing war with Ukraine. The discussions are part of a broader effort to find a diplomatic pathway toward ending the conflict. Yes, good for them. Three cheers for us. Folks, the third and final story for Monday. Then we're going to, we got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's Christmas week. We're looking forward to it over here at Your Brain on Air, and we're hoping that you have a great holiday season. We're hoping that it goes great for you. But folks, our third story for Monday, ByteDance. If you don't know, these people have signed a deal to avoid the U.S. TikTok ban. This ByteDance is the Chinese parent company of TikTok. On December 18th, they signed new agreements binding to form new joint venture for the app's U.S. operations, marking a major step toward avoiding a nationwide ban. The deal creates TikTok USDS Joint Venture LLC, an independent entity that will handle U.S. user data protection, algorithm security, content moderation, and software assurance. Key investors include Oracle, private equity from Silver Lake and Abu Dhabi-based MGX, with American and global investors collectively holding 80.1% of the venture, complying with U.S. requirements to reduce Chinese ownership below 20%. ByteDance retains the minority 19.9% of the stake, while affiliates of existing ByteDance investors hold around 30.1%. The agreement is set to close on January 22nd, 2026, before the latest enforcement deadline. Cool. This development stems from the long-standing U.S. national security concerns over TikTok's Chinese ownership, dating back to 2020 when President Trump first attempted to ban the app. In April 2024, the Congress passed a Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act, signed by President Biden, requiring ByteDance to divest its U.S. operations or face a ban starting January 19th, 2025. I mean, crazy. The law was upheld by the Supreme Court, leading to a brief disruption earlier this year. I remember the 2 days that it went south, and on Sunday he rose. Upon returning to office, President Trump issued multiple executive orders delaying the enforcement, extending deadlines several times to facilitate negotiations, framing the joint venture as a qualified divestiture that protects American interests while keeping the platform available to over 170 million users. Yeah, win-win-win. Under the terms outlined in an internal memo from TikTok CEO Xiao Zichu, I am Singaporean. The new joint venture will operate independently with a majority American board of directors. Oracle is expected to play a significant role in the data housing and potentially licensing aspects of the recommendation algorithm, which will be retained on U.S. user data to prevent external manipulation. Meanwhile, ByteDance-controlled entities will manage global interoperability and revenue-generating activities like e-commerce, advertising, and market separately. This structure aims to address fears like that the Chinese government could access U.S. user data or influence content through ByteDance, though ByteDance has consistently denied such things being a risk. I mean, yes. Don't we know that in China they have time limits on how long you're allowed to use it? They will literally tell you to go outside if you've been using TikTok for over an hour or so. Let's go ahead and let's just play this clip from CBS News. Well, I can go ahead and I can finally rip this Khalifa Kush. I don't know why I didn't rip it earlier, but we're going to do it now.
CBS News has confirmed that ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent company, has signed a deal to sell its U.S. operations to a group of investors, including 2 American companies. U.S. tech giant Oracle, investment firm Silver Lake, and Abu Dhabi-based AI firm MGX will collectively own 45% of the U.S. entity. Current ByteDance investors will continue to own about a third of the company. We should note Oracle was founded by Larry Ellison, whose son David Ellison is CEO
Barry
of CBS
Weiss.
News' parent company, Paramount Skydance. A law passed in Congress last year required ByteDance to either cut ties with TikTok's American operations or be banned in U.S. app stores and web hosting services because of national security concerns. In January, the app briefly went dark in the U.S. before President Trump extended.
I think I can't talk. These people get paid to fucking read the news.
In January, the app briefly went dark in the U.S.
In January, the Aptly Brief.
National security concerns. In January, the app briefly went dark.
In January, the Aptly Brief.
Because of national security concerns. In January, the app briefly went dark.
See, at least I don't get paid by CBS News to read the news. I stumble over my words. I fuck it up all the time. I misread shit to you guys sometimes. And then I'll be like, oh, sorry, I mean to pronounce it this way because I'm an idiot. At least I don't get like a whatever figure salary to do this job.
In the U.S. before President Trump extended the sale deadline. For more, let's bring in Alexandra Levine. She is a tech reporter at Bloomberg. Thank you so much for being here. What more do we know about this deal and what happens next?
Oh, she looks like Dean Withers in a wig.
The reason we are here and the primary goal of this deal has been to address these longstanding national security concerns about a Chinese company, ByteDance, owning a social media app that is used by half of the country. Things are still likely to evolve over the next month before this closes on January 22nd. But what we know right now is that this new U.S. TikTok entity is going to have, as you mentioned, Oracle, Silver Lake, and MGX as its three key investors, and that it will also have majority American investors and also a majority American board. This new U.S. venture is essentially going to be responsible for protecting U.S. user TikTok data, moderating content, and probably most notably, U.S. user TikTok data, moderating content, and probably most notably, retraining the coveted recommendation algorithm that is really TikTok's secret sauce. We know from the White House from what the White House put out a couple months ago, that
what the fuck? What is happening to people on the news? They can't talk.
We know from the White House from what the White House put out a couple months ago, that the plan is for ByteDance to license a copy of its very coveted recommendation algorithm to this new U.S. TikTok entity, and that TikTok entity will then be retraining it on American user data.
So what does this mean for TikTok's future, and will users see anything different?
In all likelihood, at least on the surface, the answer is no. Shou Chu, in a memo that he sent out to employees yesterday, really emphasized that people will be able to enjoy the same experience on the app, and also advertisers should not be impacted. And I also think it's really notable that even through all this regulatory turbulence, TikTok has really tried to put forward a face of everything is operating business as usual. They have been expanding aggressively into the e-commerce shopping space throughout all of this. Just last night, hours after Shou sent that memo to all of the employees of the company announcing that these agreements had been signed, TikTok held a red carpet style, Oscar style award show called the TikTok Awards for the first time in the US. So at least on the surface, it seems that things will be pretty much business as usual. One thing that I am watching, however, is there was some language that the White House shared about the deal back in September that basically suggested that the Trump administration and the U.S. government could be working on some of this data security and content moderation in partnership with or alongside Oracle. That, of course, has raised questions about whether the U.S. government might have the ability to put its finger on the scale as to what people are seeing on the app, whether they will be able to access data of American users, and whether Americans who are using the app would even know. So those are big unanswered questions that I'll be looking closely at.
Alexandra Levine, thank you.
Alexandra Levine.
If you live in a North Dakota...
Shut up, bitch. I don't care about if I live in a North Dakota state. Do you understand how bad these ads are? They know where... They're like trying to tell me that I have a DUI. I don't have a DUI in the state of North Dakota. What are you talking about? I mean, good for them. I don't know. The signing, it's been hailed by the Trump administration as a resolution of years of uncertainty, with TikTok emphasizing continuity for creators, businesses, and users reliant on the platform for entertainment, income, and connection. However, some critics, including lawmakers like Representative John Moulinar and Senator Ron Wyden, they're arguing it falls short of a full divestiture, questioning whether or not remaining ties by ByteDance, though that little 19.9% share, truly eliminates security concerns or prevent subtle influence. Uncertainty also lingers over the algorithm's full ownership and final approval from Beijing. I mean, I don't know if the Chinese will say okay to this. They may. I mean, who knows? As of December 22nd, 2025, the deal appears to be poised to secure TikTok's future in the U.S., ending a projected saga that involved court battles, temporary blackouts, and high-stakes diplomacy. If completed as a plan, it could serve as a model for handling foreign-owned tech platforms amid U.S.-China tensions, while providing relief for millions who feared losing access to one of the country's most popular apps. I mean, we will keep up on the additional details as it comes forth. I mean, Your Brain on Air does not have a TikTok page yet. You know, we're not that tech savvy. We have a clip playlist. We're not doing a clip channel. That's too much. I'm sorry. But, you know, we're doing our best here. We're doing our best to keep the lights on. And you know what? We will be alive until the 2030s, I predict it here right now. And you know what? We would love for you to come along for the ride. Speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate how long you've been here. I appreciate your viewership today. I appreciate the fact that you wanted to spend your Monday with me. So thank you so much for listening to Your Brain on Air. You know, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. We're going to be celebrating the holidays this week. It's going to be a fun, jolly week. I'm determined to make it one. So if you want more of it, subscribe if you want more, like if you liked it. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ollie Vogt Larson, your host of Your Brain on Air. I hope you enjoyed today's broadcast, and I will catch you tomorrow. In the meantime, bye-bye.